So this is gonna be part two of my DC universe. As I said before, this universe is going to take place more so in the cosmos, unlike my Marvel universe, which is a much more street level grounded story. If you guys want to have more context of my DC universe storyline, go ahead and go back and watch part one. um, this is going to be part two. If you want to pause and read the slides as I'm going through, you can just so appreciate to do so. But if you want more context and you want everything to make more sense to you, go back and watch part one. So on to part two. Again, disclaimer: just because I have this background does not mean every single character is going to be in my DC universe. And also, don't take it as a jab if your favorite character is not in my DC universe. It was just, as I was going through the stories, they just wasn't room for them to be in this. Um, but you'll see as we continue on with this journey. So on with part two of my DC universe. Again, the first film of the DC movie slot, Green Lantern, which leads us into the second film, Superman, which now leads us to Manhunter, aka Martian Manhunter's own movie. This movie is pretty much taking place right after the moments of Superman. If you want to find out what that was, please go back and watch part one of my DC Universe video. But on with the story. Superman and John fly in the night sky, having a conversation about Cal's heritage and where he comes from. The movie is all about John's background. He is a father of two from Mars, who was a 9 to 5 working man. Like Krypton, the Martians also had a prophecy that will cause the end of the world. They just never expected to come from an alien AI called Brainiac. Movie shows how Brainiac invaded them, cutting off their water supplies, breaking their communication from each other, and destroying and absorbing their planet one city at a time. The Martians put up a fight, but were too outdated technology wise to fight back. John and others attempted to flee the planet, which some did, but most not so lucky, including John's family. John failed to protect his family and fled to Earth as an outcast and took the persona of the chief. Once he found out, he was able to be granted shape shifting powers. Because the different the one how I want to explain him gaining his shape shifting abilities is pretty much have to deal with him being on Earth versus him being on Mars is completely different. So I really want this movie to be kind of like nod to that. He thought he would be a wasteful man and die slow on Earth until he saw Superman, and his presence alone gave him hope. So now he recreates himself to be a protector of Earth, so no other man falls to the same life as he did. Cal reveals that his family are the ones who created the AI, which predicted Krypton's fate. John grew anger from this, and a big fight commences between Superman and John. Cal tries to talk John and hugs him. John and hugs him, reminding him he must be better than what our past was. So I want this to be like John is pretty much attacking Kal-El out of rage and anger after finding out that it was the Kryptonians who created the Brainiac AI, which this is the same Brainiac AI that wiped out Mars. So majority of the movie is pretty much going to be John's life on Mars, and then we get into pretty much how Brainiac invaded and pretty much wiped out majority of the Martians. And then, towards maybe like the last 40 minutes of the movie, this scene happens with John and Cal. John drops in tears and renames himself the Martian Manhunter. The movie ends with both Superman and Manhunter taking out villains and preventing the recreation of the League of Shadows. End credit scene. Brainiac in deep space, calculating the next planet to absorb. which is Earth, and discovers an escaped Martian and Kryptonian immigrate there. Post credit scene, while Superman and Manhunter prevent another attack on the city, Hal and a green glow flies from the sky, landing in front of John and Cal. First, thinking it's a threat, but John reads his mind, revealing he is not. Hal informs the two heroes a threat is coming by the name of Brainiac. We must find reinforcements, or the Earth as we know it will be gone forever. And that's the end of the Manhunter movie. John coming down to Earth or immigrating to Earth, and because his whole genetics and his whole physical body is different within the Earth's atmosphere than when it is on Mars, he's able to grow. His body is able to grow shape shifting abilities, and Martians on Mars, they don't communicate through verbal and mouths like we do on Earth. They communicate through thoughts, and John being on Earth kind of enhances his communication, which now he has a sort of telepathic ability. So after all that, it leads us to the next movie in the phase, Green Lantern 2. Hal is shackled and taken by Sinestro, Tomar-Re, Chip, and Kilowog to two lanterns returning to the planet Oa. Hal sees many Green Lanterns from diverse species guarding the galaxy. Hal is confronted by the Guardians about how weak humans are. He makes a case, he makes a case and takes offense at the mindset against the human race. He is trained and tested by Kilowog, Tomar-Re, and Sinestro. Tomar-Re grows to respect Hal, and Kilowog learns to trust him. But Sinestro is hard as stone due to his friend Abin Sur being dead and Hal wearing his ring, as Abin Sur's ring has chosen Hal back in the first movie. The main villains of the movie will be high-tech alien pirates stealing weapons to kill lanterns. Hal learns that the lanterns aren't really liked, by most of the galaxy and are accused of being corrupt. It's revealed Abin Sur was trying to clear their name by saving more than killing, but was cornered by the villain Atrocitus. Sinestro blames the Guardians for his death, Abin Sur. The movie builds up to a great battle between the Lanterns and the Space Pirates, where Hal nearly dies saving Sinestro. The battle is won with Hal severely injured. Sinestro befriends Hal and thanks him. The end credit scene shows Hal saying goodbye to his new friends to return to Earth to protect his sector. But there's also word that Kryptonian and a Martian has immigrated there. Before Hal leaves, Brainiac is shown hovering above Oa. Post-credit scene. Boats of Navy SEALs are seen sailing through the night ocean to investigate a mysterious island that's unknown to the map. As a soldier looks into the distance, a group of warrior women with armor invade and attack their ships. The camera cuts after a clear visual of a strong woman with a sword and shield. And that's the end of Green Lantern 2. This one pretty much takes place right after the first Green Lantern, but in between the ending scene of Manhunter, obviously, because this happened before Hal returned to Earth about them warning about Brainiac. So I really want to show this movie to have Hal again more being Green Lantern versus him being Hal Jordan, being trained by Tomar-Re, Chip, and Kilowog, and eventually becoming friends with them. But Sinestro is still kind of like on the fence for simply what happened to his friend Abin Sur. Of course, leading up to the big battle between the alien pirates and the Green Lanterns, pretty much clearing their name. So, because I am kind of appreciating this story, we're going to move on to the third movie, but the final movie of this video, The Amazons and the Atlanteans. The Amazons and the Atlanteans were once united through Athena and Poseidon. Ares was the one who incited war among the gods, leading to a civil war between the two nations. Zeus punishes both the Amazons who can never fall in love again, causing them to isolate from man's world. The Atlanteans, who can only breathe underwater, again isolating them for the rest of the world. Zeus punishing the Atlanteans. Ever since they were born, Diana, unknown, who is an unknown god's daughter, and Arthur, who is a champion chosen by Poseidon, trained to fight and hate each other. But when Arthur and Diana finally set a match to the death, the wizard Shazam has returned. New body and stronger spells. He interrupts a great fight between Diana and Arthur, taking place between land and sea. Shazam nearly kills both Diana and Arthur, attacking them one by one and killing some of their people in the process. Diana and Arthur make a truce, realizing there's a bigger threat to their people than each other. They both welcome each other to their people's lands and history in search of powerful artifacts to help them aid in killing Shazam. Artifacts like the Trident of Neptune for Arthur and a God Killer Sword for Diana. Diana and Arthur learn to respect each other's lands and nations, growing a love for each other. As Shazam continues to grow stronger and stronger, the two heroes gather their weapons and armies to defeat and smite Shazam. Both nations call a truce and a peace treaty. The relationship is not confirmed, but Arthur and Diana do have eyes for each other. End credit scene. Superman is visiting Themyscira, Diana's land, asking Diana for help. There is a threat coming to our planet, and we need all the help we can get, including the Amazons. John, Martian Manhunter, reaches Arthur's mind underwater, speaking to him telepathically. Arthur being confused until he sees Hal's glowing shield as he enters Atlantis. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, entering Atlantis in his big giant green bubble, basically. We need your help, King Arthur, as well as help from your fellow Atlanteans. Post-credit scene. Shazam's Shazam's ghost visits a young boy's dream while he sleeps in an orphanage. Billy Batson, you are my only hope for vengeance. Be my champion. As Billy wakes up in fear with sparks from his fingers. And that's is what I'm gonna call it, guys. I really wanted this one to be, Diana's origin with Themyscira and Arthur's origin with Atlanteans. As you can see, I slightly changed it compared to what the origin is in the comics. Diana being the daughter of a god who will never be who may not be who may not be named, which is going to be explained later in the universe. Maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. and the and the Atlanteans, Arthur, instead of him being the son of of Atlantean, he's a full blood Atlantean, but he was chosen by the god Poseidon to rule Atlantis, basically, since he was punished by Zeus. Um, how do they know that Themyscira and the Atlantis exist? Basically, you can tell by the news. This is all on public grounds. They just ignored man's world, and of course, Hal being a Green Lantern kind of knows a little more of the history of Earth after his studies with the Green Lantern ring in the first movie, and John now having telepathic abilities easily like that to read their minds and connect to them telepathically. But that's all I have for you guys today. See you guys in part 3.